Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
So just to get us going here, we are more than 2 weeks into this government shutdown, and the Senate's next vote is expected to come on October 20th. How long do you see this going for?
This is absolutely frustrating. Government shutdowns don't benefit anyone. We would be far better off not to be in this position. The House passed government funding now almost 4 weeks ago to make sure that we kept the government open, operational, and essential employees paid. Unfortunately, Democrats in the Senate refused to move forward and allow us to reopen the government with a clean CR, meaning funding at consistent levels with no changes to underlying policy. And every day that goes by is another frustrating day that hurts the American people and moves us further and further away from getting on with the work that needs to be done to get this country back on track.
Well, and Democrats have been clear about wanting to negotiate the expiring health care subsidies. Are Republicans ready to come to the table on that or waiting?
I lost you. I apologize. I lost the first part of that question on the sound.
No worries. Democrats have been clear about wanting to negotiate the expiring health care subsidies. Are Republicans wanting to come to the table on that?
As soon as the government's open. So what we have done is funded a clean CR. Simply keep the government open, operational, while we continue negotiations on fiscal 26 appropriations as well as other policy priorities. So there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of negotiations to take place, but there is no point in having the government shut down while we engage in those negotiations.
Yeah, and you're echoing a talking point for many of your colleagues here, but millions of people who receive insurance through the ACA marketplaces, including many Wisconsinites, are set to receive notices that their premiums will increase next year. Is this an issue that Republicans are ready to come to eventually?
I wouldn't call it a talking point. I would call that the reality. Democrats have historically voted for clean CRs. Chuck Schumer voted for this exact same CR. What changed? The politics changed for Democrats in the Senate. And so they have chosen to put politics over people in the United States Senate. And for many of us in Washington who are trying to navigate through challenging times, it is beyond frustrating where the United States Senate is. It's clear that the Affordable Care Act subsidies that go to insurance companies are ripe with waste, fraud, and abuse. Even the Inspector General's report at Treasury during the Biden administration identified significant overpayments. At an absolute minimum, the program needs to be revised and reformed to make sure that we're addressing those individuals who truly need assistance, but we can root out waste, fraud, and abuse. These are the conversations that we should be having. Frustratingly, Democrats in the United States Senate have chosen to shut the government down, putting politics over people.
Well, do you believe that these credits should be extended?
In their current form, it is ripe with waste, fraud, and abuse. And again, the Treasury Department in the Biden administration identified significant overpayments. So at an absolute minimum, we need to make significant reforms inside this program to address the continuing rising costs that has been unleashed on American people in part due to the so-called Affordable Care Act. What it really did was drive up the cost of health care for so many people who are struggling to get by.
So it sounds like you want to see reform before you're ready to just talk about an extension.
The program, at a minimum, needs to be reformed as initially drafted in a partisan vote, which was sunset by Democrats, of course. This program has created significant waste, fraud, and abuse. And again, even the Biden administration's own Treasury Inspector General report demonstrates that.
And so what do you say to Wisconsinites right now who could see their premiums go up?
I'd say call your Democratic senator and ask them to open the government immediately so that we can finish these negotiations to address the rising cost of health care.
And so I want to get your take on something that was said at a CNN town hall this week by Representative Ocasio-Cortez, who said essentially that promises aren't enough to get Democrats to budge. What's your take on that?
Yeah, this is the challenge that we're facing. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Socialist Democrats are driving the agenda of the Democratic Party in the United States Senate. Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, is clearly afraid of a primary from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's the reason that we have seen the Democratic Party continue to shift further and further to the left. What we need is courage from Democrats in the United States Senate to open the government. Some Democrats have voted in favor of opening the government Frustratingly, we still need 4 more Democrats to come to the table to open the government so we can complete the negotiations for fiscal year 26 appropriations, as well as other policy priorities.
And so what would the timeline look like to reopen the government right now?
Well, the moment there are 60 votes in the United States Senate to overcome the Democrat filibuster, we could have a vote to reopen the government immediately. Frustratingly, Democrats, including leader Chuck Schumer, refuse to do that. And again, this is a clean CR, no policy adjustments, continuing funding at current rates. It's functionally the same bill that Democrats voted for earlier this year. What changed is the politics, and what we're seeing is Democrats in the United States Senate putting politics in front of people. It's beyond frustrating.
And do you think Republicans are at a point right now where they can get those votes?
Well, we have seen a few Democrats come across the line. The Democratic senator from Pennsylvania and others have voted to keep the government open, recognizing that that is the responsible thing to do. The consequences of the Schumer shutdown continue to build. More and more people are getting hurt. Number of people are not receiving their full paycheck due to the Schumer shutdown. And so hopefully Democrats in the Senate come to their senses, reopen the government, and allow us to complete the negotiations that are in front of us.
And so I want to talk now about the legislation you're supporting to automatically extend funding for 2 weeks until a deal is reached on funding. Can you walk our viewers through how that would work?
The entire spending process in Washington is absolutely broken. How do you fix this? Big picture. You end all government shutdowns for all of time. This brinksmanship is unhelpful to anyone. I call it the Wisconsin idea. It simply takes what we do in the state of Wisconsin. At the end of a budget year in Wisconsin, if the governor and state assembly and state senate don't agree, we continue to fund state government at the current rates with no policy changes. It's why state government doesn't shut down in the state of Wisconsin, even though sometimes there's partisan politics at play. We should take that exact model, apply it to Washington, and we would end the brinksmanship, end shutdowns for all of time, and we would have a much better process in Washington.
So you previously introduced similar legislation in the 116th Congress, but why choose this moment to introduce similar legislation?
Well, we're continuing to try to get people to realize that we shouldn't be in this position in the first place. And so we're trying to garner attention and support for this legislation to end the brinksmanship in Washington, allow cooler heads to prevail, and be a far better steward of taxpayer money with a better structure in place. And so not only do we need to solve this in the short term, and we should vote to pass the clean CR in the Senate, but we should end the process so we don't find ourselves here in the future.
And I want to ask, too, Democrats have been critical of GOP leadership, specifically for keeping the House out of session for the last 4 weeks. Do you believe that the House should return?
The House has done its job. The House passed a clean CR now 4 weeks ago. And so the work is in the United States Senate to find 60 votes. Frustratingly, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are utilizing the filibuster to prevent the government from being funded. They're holding pay for essential workers hostage to try to drive their political agenda. It's all about putting politics in front of people. The House has done its job. It's now time for the Senate to do their job.
Well, thank you for your time, Congressman. We appreciate it.
Thank you.